Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I have the latest from Springfield Armory. This is the 1911 DS Prodigy AOS. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis Axe and Core belts. Link to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. Thank you. This particular pistol, it looks like just another 1911. And it's anything but just another 1911. As the DS in the name might imply, it's a double stack. So I have a 20-round magazine in a 1911. This is chambered in 9mm. This would be a little more difficult in 45 ACP. But chambered in 9mm, 20 rounds in a 1911 is really good capacity for this platform. And you'll find that the grip is not any thicker really than another 1911. The magwell's a lot thicker, and when you look at the magwell, you'll see that the magwell, and actually the bottom part of the grip, is all polymer. And you might think, well, I don't want a polymer 1911. Well, this isn't a polymer 1911. It's forged steel. Both the slide and the frame are all forged steel. The grip module attaches to the steel frame and gives you a 1911 style grip the same size as a regular 8 or 9, 10 round 1911. It's very comfortable. The texturing wraps around. You have texturing here at the back. You have your typical 1911 grip safety, but you can see from the cut here that the grip safety and all of the safeties, trigger, and all of the functional components are part of that steel frame, and the only thing that's polymer is just the grip. This would allow flexibility in the future if they wanted to come out with different grip styles, one with a wider flared magwell, whatever. There's going to be flexibility there that they'll be able to do. They do mention that this is the first in the line. I don't know what others are going to be coming soon. That's something they know, I don't. They may not even know yet. But one thing I did notice is on the magazines are labeled 9/38. And no, that doesn't mean 38 revolver cartridges. If they ever decided to go forward, that would be 38 Super, which is very popular with the competition crowd. Now again, I don't know what they may do in the future, but it's interesting that both of the mags are set up where they could have 38 Super as one of the options. They're nice solid steel mags. They were relatively easy to load. They go in and out very smoothly. They drop free, so no assistance from me. And it does come with a 17 round flush magazine that fits up nice and flush. So you've got a lot of capacity in a 1911, but what they've done here is not just another double stack clone. This gun is ground up, designed to be that, especially with the polymer grip and the slightly flared magwell, to be a double stack competition gun and be a precision gun. It's kind of a heavy gun. It weighs 33 ounces with an empty magazine. A lot of that is attributable to the steel, but if it had a metal grip, it would be even heavier. And it would be even fatter, because by the time you have that magwell in a regular 1911 and then put grip panels on top of that, it would feel like you were holding on to a Desert Eagle instead of a 1911. So as a result, it's very comfortable to hold and very easy to work with. So from a dimensional perspective, it's 8.5 inches long. This one has the 5-inch barrel. There will be a 4 1/4 inch version of this available as well. And it's 5.5 inches tall. And that would be without the red dot. That would be just the gun up to the top of the sight. But there is a red dot in this one. And this is the way it came from Springfield Armory. And you're actually going to be able to buy it this way. So the MSRP of the version with the red dot is $16.99. The version without is $14.99. And if you buy it from the factory with the Hex Dragonfly already pre-installed, it'll be installed ready to go. And it's actually less expensive than buying the gun and the red dot separately. Now, there is currently not a package being offered with the Surefire. They did send this as part of the gun for review. Just a quick cut in. When I originally filmed this, I was going to talk about the holster that came with it in the package from Springfield for review, the flashlight, and this belt. But these are not things that come with the gun when you buy it, and the video got really, really long. So I'm going to pull this part out of this video. I'll have a separate little follow-up video where I'll talk about these accessories that are available, because it's really important to, especially competition people, to have these type of accessories. So I'm just going to focus on what you could buy if you went into the store to buy one on this video, and I'll just have a follow-up with a little more information on the rest of this stuff, because it actually is a really cool belt and holster. From a sights perspective, it has a front fiber optic sight. It is dovetail. You could change it if you chose. And it has a rear blackout sight that you'll notice I still have a sight even though I have a red dot. So you don't lose the use of the sight when you put the optic on there. And no, the dot on the red dot's not that hideous. Cameras just seem to hate red dots. That's actually a very crisp, fine dot with 8 levels of brightness adjustment. And of course, as you make it brighter, it gets bigger. I've got it in the middle. I've got it set to like about a 3. But don't worry about is the dot any good and does the dot look that hideous? It's just the camera. I've never found where the cameras like red dots at all. They always turn even the sharpest, finest dot into a big blur like that. But I did find it was very easy to control it. Just one button turns it on, off, and sets the brightness. It is aluminum body and a glass lens, so it's going to be scratch resistant and damage resistant. And of course you have your typical adjustments. Both sides you got your windage and your elevation adjustments. And a little bit of serration on the back of it so that if you happen to be in a backlight scenario along with the sight, it's going to kind of cut down glare and make it easier for your eye to focus on what you need to, which is either the dot or the front sight, depending on the scenario. So I like the fact that this optic is set up to work perfectly on this gun, sit flush, and give you that co-witness. So if your dot does fail, you don't have to touch anything. You just fail over to your iron sights and go. Or if you were in a situation where you intentionally didn't want to use the dot, you would turn the dot off, and again, you're back to your iron sights. The dot itself sits a little bit higher than the iron sights when you're using the red dot, so I found it really easy to ignore the sights when I wanted to. So when I actually just wanted to use the dot, I could find the dot, ignore the existence of the sights, zone in on the dot, and pull nice tight groups with this. The mechanical accuracy on this is very, very good, and I found it really easy to shoot it well. Another ergonomic feature is you'll see it has kind of an oversized safety, and it's very easy to operate with your thumb. It operates smoothly. It's got a nice detent, so you know that it's on or you know that it's off, but it doesn't hang up, so there's no problem, putting it on at the end of a shooting session, or as you're pulling the gun, dropping the safety, regardless of which hand you use. And one thing I noticed about this is the shape and design of the safety with this kind of this bevel and contour, that regardless of the position of the safety, on or off, it did not bite into my hand when I'm using it on the opposite side. And that shaping is on both sides. You'll see that contour and bevel. So the nice thing about that is an ambi safety on a 1911 sometimes can be unpleasant for both. So whichever way you're holding it, the safety bites into your hand because you've got your hand someplace where there shouldn't be something sticking out, again, whether it's left or right. But that's not true on this one. That safety never got in my way on my hand. I never felt it. And I didn't even know it was there other than when I was doing this to activate it or to deactivate it. The trigger and the hammer are skeletonized. You'll see that the hammer is just a really nice, well skeletonized. It's got a little bit of serration to catch it if you were to want to thumb it manually. But of course a 1911 is really designed to be cocked and locked. So it's either ready to go like you see here with the safety on, flick the safety off, pull the trigger, and you're ready to party. You can also see that the trigger has an over travel stop. That screw right there would allow you to adjust the over travel. And I'm going to show you this trigger, and it's an awesome trigger. So it didn't load itself while we were here doing this. Hammer's back, so this is basically cocked and locked, ready to go. Put my finger on the trigger. On one other thing, you notice there's serrations on the front of the trigger to make it easy to keep your finger in place. Minimal hair of take-up, and then just an infinitesimal movement and a really light brake. And then when I cycle it, that's the whole reset. Bounced a little bit because I let my finger out a little bit, but so I'll do it again. But you're right on the wall. Just a little bit of a bounce because it kind of pops at the end, but you're right on the wall, and then another crisp break. This trigger really helped with getting the job done. It's got an awesome trigger, and you can't not like a 1911 trigger, but even within the 1911s, there's better triggers than others, and this is just a really nice, very smooth, short, light trigger. I like the trigger on this a lot. Really, I like this gun. Everything I've done with this thing so far has just been nice. It does have a bull barrel. Notice there's no barrel bushing. So when I get the barrel out, you'll see that. It fits in nice and tight. Everything on this is tight tolerances, so this is designed to be a precision gun. And you can see from the Hex, it does have a one-piece guide rod. It's actually a two-piece full-length guide rod. So you do need a tool to disassemble it. And that would be something normally I would kind of look at negatively, but not on a gun like this. Not on a gun that's designed to be a match gun. Precision then is starting to take precedence over convenience. So that I don't mind on this because of what this gun is intended to be. I'm going to go ahead and take it apart. Pull the slide back to line up the... I'm going to do this a different way. I'm going to pull it back with the front serrations and hold it with my finger. Trying to do something like this on camera is always more cumbersome than trying to do it where I was actually just doing it. Push this forward, catch this with my finger. Having a difficult time. There it goes. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing this protrusion. This sticks out on that side. I was pushing that with my finger, holding the gun open, and then I just grabbed it and pulled it out. If you were doing this and not trying to show it on camera, you'd do it a little bit easier. It does come apart easy, and then it just slides apart. So put the slide down for the moment and talk about the frame. Forged steel frame. Everything on this is steel. So all the parts that matter, all the parts that take wear, nice solid rear and front rails, the hammer, everything that is a moving part or a wear item is steel. So the polymer, you can see, just attaches to that frame, and all that the polymer piece, the only job it has is to give you something to hold on to. So from a wear characteristic, this is going to hold up well, it's going to wear well, and being steel, it's actually probably going to wear well a lot better than a lot of the alloys because steel is stronger than even aluminum alloy. Now on the slide, this is where it gets a little bit different. Because of this full-length guide rod, there is a tool that's needed. And again, a lot of times I don't like that, but given the purpose of this gun, I can accept that. But it comes with a wrench, just a typical Allen wrench, which means if you lose it, you can get another one. What I did is I grabbed it in my fist and I pinned the guide rod down up against the barrel and just clamped. And then I'm going to unscrew this. And this section comes out. So here's one half of the two-piece guide rod. The other half of it is under my hand. Now, as soon as I start to release my hand, it's under spring tension, so you probably need to be careful to protect two things. One, and that's why I had to cup it so you probably couldn't see, but it wanted to shoot out of there. So you want to make sure that you don't bend the spring and that this doesn't go flying, but this is the other half of your guide rod. Now, the GI size guide rods tend to be a little more convenient from a maintenance perspective, but from a precision perspective, that one-piece guide rod is going to give you a decent amount of precision. So the barrel comes out the same way as it does on any other 1911, other than the fact that you got to get everything lined up right, which I'm not doing a good job of here. I'm going to go ahead and pull the barrel out because I need to turn it where it won't be visible on screen, so I'll be right back. When I went to do it, I realized I had made a mistake. It wasn't difficult, but there's another guide sleeve that goes in there that the guide rod goes into, and of course if you don't remove that, you're not going to remove the barrel. That was my fault, not the gun. So let's talk about the barrel. The barrel is stainless steel, has 11-degree recessed crown, and it's very well machined, very solid. Being a bull barrel, so it doesn't have a bushing, it's also very heavy, very thick, very solid. It has a nice polished feed ramp and very well machined rifling. So I'll show you the feed ramp and then I'll show you the rifling. Very well machined, crisp, conventional rifling. Of course, with everything being silver, it's kind of hard to see, but very sharp. No machine marks, no chatter. The type of quality that you would expect for something that's wanting to be a match gun is present here. And when you look at the internals of the slide, it's also steel and also quite well machined. Not much extra going on. You've just got your guides, locking section, but just clean. No machining marks anywhere on this. Everything's just well done. Putting it back together is a little more cumbersome than a 1911 that had a GI style rod. But again, I'm willing to give up convenience on a gun like this for the precision that these are designed to have. So you put the barrel back in, then put in the sleeve that I failed to remove earlier that was making it difficult. The guide rod in. Now this is the part that's going to be difficult for me to do on screen, which is I'm going to end up having to do off screen. But I would put the guide rod in, and then this would be up against the barrel. Of course the guide rod would be through there. That I would thread this piece through and catch these screws, these threads. Now it's important that you don't have the wrench involved in that. So you want to push this through, catch those threads, and make sure that it goes at least a couple revolutions with just fingertip force. If you're having to use any force at all, you're cross-threading and you can damage the parts. Once it runs down all the way, then you would switch over and use the wrench to finish it. But I'm just going to have to do that off screen because there's no way I can do it and not have things fly around and not have my hands in the way. So you would just get bored watching my hands. So I did get it put back together. I'm using my finger to retain the spring up against the barrel. Notice that the lug is in position. It's not forward. You don't want it down forward. And if I let go, this will want to try to come apart. Again, that's the one difference between a full length and a GI style. The GI style, you don't have any tension on it before you put the slide on. But I'm just going to hold that and bring the slide back up. Once I have it in the channel, then I can let go of it. And now what I'm going to want to do is bring it back, and just like any 1911, I want to capture that hoop. It is a little more difficult to do because there is tension, so if you pull back too far, it can actually pop the loop out of the way and then you'll have to go back. But at this point, then I'm just going to bring the slide back to line this up, pop it in place, and I'm back in operation again. Of course, I got fingerprints all over it from oily hands, but it's pretty easy to work with. A little bit different, being a match gun, there's that guide rod's a little different, but overall, fundamentally, it's just a 1911 from a maintenance standpoint. Easy to disassemble, easy to put back together. If this is a little too tight, you may have to break it loose while it's still assembled, but fundamentally you would want to take the slide off and do it that way because you don't want to have a lot of twisting going on in here. And you're not torquing this down for eternity, you just want to torque it down enough that it's tight, and you don't want to use any type of Loctite or anything like that. I like this gun. I like this gun a lot. If you're looking for a competition gun, other competition guns that are out there tend to be very expensive. We did a review on a Bull Armory. That was a $3,000 or $4,000 gun. To get into the competition realm, generally the price of admission is very high. This with an MSRP of $16.99 for this version and $14.99 without the red dot, that's still not cheap. That's not an inexpensive 1911, but a match grade, very kind of a factory tuned, awesome trigger at that price is not typical for a 1911. And there's three last things to show on this because these are some of the things people look for. It's a straight flat, or a flat magazine, or I'm sorry, flat mainspring housing. So there's not a hump there. And when you look at the back, if I can clear the oil off with my finger, everything fits very tight, very close, and there's zero side-to-side movement in the slide. There's no slop whatsoever. The gun's moving because I'm twisting it against my other hand, but the slide relative to the gun is not moving at all. So you are getting those precision tolerances that you would look for in a match grade or a precision 1911. There's a lot of 1911 here, capacity and everything else, for the price that they're asking for it. Really an awesome gun. Thank you, Springfield Armory, for sending this to us to get to take to the range, get to review it, get to enjoy it, because I really do like this thing. If you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell to be notified. Check us out on Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Getter, kind of everywhere now. And thank you.